Okay, welcome everybody to our monthly lunch and learn here in July. We appreciate you being here. I know July is a busy month for a lot of people with vacations and county fairs and all of that. So we appreciate sharing your time with us. Um, I'm just going to go through a few slides before we hand it over to our guest speaker for the day. Well, if they want to advance, we'll see. All right, there we go. I wanted to give everybody on the call a chance to introduce themselves because we get registrations from you guys, and under Zoom it gives us your name and your email, but it doesn't necessarily tell us what community that you're visiting us from. So if folks wanted, they can popcorn around, or I can call on people if you wanted to introduce yourself and what part of Missouri you're joining us from.
Do a roll call, I guess.
All right, I'll do a roll call. Let's see, I'll scroll all the way. Well, maybe I won't call on the last person that logged in. That doesn't seem fair. Shelly, I know Shelly. Will you introduce yourself?
Shelly Kleba from Lynn, Missouri.
Hi, Shelly.
Hello.
Hi, Shelley. Yeah.
All right. How about Terry?
Hi there, I'm Terry from the City of West Plains Tourism Department.
Hi, Terry.
Terry. How about Todd?
Todd Robich from Springfield.
Hi, Todd. Robin?
Hi, I'm Robin Dawson in Kirksville.
Hi. Let's see. Anne. Oh, she might be shy. We'll go to the next person. Ashley.
Ashley Schnocky with the Conservation Department, and I work in Southwest Missouri.
Hi, Ashley.
And didn't get the mute off. I'm sorry.
You're all good.
I'm from Springfield.
Awesome. Jennifer.
I am from the great city of, well, okay, it's a little city of Steelville.
Yay.
Yay, Steelville.
And then let's see, there's another. How about Jennifer Bowden?
Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission. So I'm kind of the Jeff City, Columbia, all that area.
Okay. And then Vanita.
Hi, I'm from Springfield.
And then Rhonda.
Hi, everyone. I'm with the Missouri Department of Conservation.
Hi, Rhonda. And then we've got some folks from MCB, and I'll go through our slides, but I want to let them introduce themselves too. So Darla.
She probably has her
Oh, she's got it.
speaker off, Misty.
She was unmuted for a second, but how about Cece?
Hi, I'm Cece. I speak, and I'm from Callio, and I work with MCB as the executive assistant.
And then Elaine.
I'm Elaine, and I'm from Houston, down in Central State Department, south of Fort Leonard Wood, and I'm on the MCB board. Elaine. Really messed that up, didn't I?
Oh, no, you're good. And then I'm Elizabeth Anderson, and I work for MU Extension, but I'm on the MCB board, and I'm moderating today. Let me click through a couple more of our slides. Here's more of the folks on our board if you're not familiar. Brett Dinkins is our president. Oh, I need to update this. We actually had a vote at our last meeting for our vice president, John Robinson. Jeff Corman is our secretary, and I'm the new treasurer. We've also got Elaine, who introduced herself as a past president. Tanya Watson from Buffalo is our most recent past president as well. And Jennifer, who's on the call today from Steelville. And then we've also got Diana Huxep from Louisiana, Missouri, Paul McCrae from Maysville, Missouri, Emily Smith, also from Steelville, and there, right there is John Robinson. He's our vice president now. And then we've got a couple folks, one person that I don't have her picture yet is Brenna Bontrager from Independence, and then our board assistants, Cece, Darla, and Vicky. And their titles, what they focus on and help with. But the real reason you all are here today is to hear from our guest speaker, Bob Hughes, from the Hamilton County Alliance. So I'm going to stop my share and turn the time over to him. Bob, you want to take it away?
Well, thank you very much. And I've been joined by Bud Motzinger, who is a member of the Hamilton Community Alliance and one of the co-conspirators in this project that we call the Highway 13 Butterfly Trail. Just a little bit of history. The Hamilton Community Alliance was formed about 7 years ago. It was a group of people in the community that just wanted to make things happen. And we had several community meetings and had a lot of good input, a lot of good ideas and suggestions. And one of the things that came up at that meeting was, let's see what we can do with butterflies. We knew that Missouri, Western Missouri in particular, is a natural migration trail for over 20 different species of butterflies. And it was just kind of a natural fit. And in fact, Interstate 35 is known as the Monarch Highway. And we are just 10 miles from 35. So everything just fell together. The city of Hamilton had 10 acres of ground that they weren't using. And so we approached them and began creating our own little 10-acre butterfly park here in Hamilton. We kind of patterned the butterfly park after one up in Bellevue, Iowa. Bellevue is a community on the Mississippi River, and they have a nice scenic overlook that provides a pretty good vista. And as part of that, someone planted a little pollinator plot, made a little pond, put a stone in there for people to sit on. And all of a sudden they were overwhelmed by butterflies that were stopping there. So they kept gradually expanding the butterfly park, or the butterfly portions in the pollinator areas, until it got to the point that they were drawing so many tourists that the Iowa Department of Natural Resources purchased the property and a surrounding 350 acres, and they have made that into a state park. And they draw a large number of tourists every year, and they also draw huge amounts of butterflies. And we were thinking, why can't we replicate that on this side of the state, or this side of Missouri, since this is a natural butterfly trail? So we started a 10-acre plot. And then we came up with the idea after discussions, well, why not make this a whole statewide or state-long project? At the time, there was a group called the Highway 13 Corridor Coalition, which was, Bud was a key member of that group and one of the founders. And they were working to get improvements on Highway 13 from Springfield up to Hamilton. And about that time, we were working with them. We started making contacts. People were getting interested. It sounded like things were really taking off. And then something called the pandemic hit. And so everything went dormant. During that time, the Missouri Department of Transportation decided that they were going to head with their project on Highway 13 from Warrensburg up to Higginsville and make that a 4-lane highway. And that essentially gave Highway 13 4-lane from Springfield to Higginsville, or I-70. And to proceed north of I-70 on 13 was going to be extremely difficult. So the group kind of has gone into hibernation. And so them being involved with the project, other than a few of the communities involved, kind of went dormant. So recently we've revived the idea of the Highway 13 Butterfly Trail. We're taking a little bit of different approach to it this time, and we're trying to establish partnerships all the way up and down the state from Iowa to Arkansas. Some of the groups that we've talked to early on, of course, was the Missouri Department of Conservation in our area. And I should add, we've been focusing a lot of our efforts north of I-70 at this point because that's where we live. And we're gradually reaching out and wanting to move things southward. And Bud, feel free to jump in at any point.
I may, since we do have our people here, I was previously the presiding commissioner for Caldwell County, and our Highway 13 coalition was primarily made up of mayors and commissioners from the 5 counties from Caldwell County down through Henry County. So a lot of the people right along Highway 13, whether it was Lexington or Richmond or Higginsville, Warrensburg, were on that area. So the commissioners themselves, the mayors, the city managers were aware of the project that we were working on. And that's kind of where the support came from, was from the leadership in those areas. And then they tried to get other groups within their communities, whether it was groups of tourism, chambers, things like that, to be involved in the same project. And so that's kind of who we were made up of as far as the coalition, Highway 13 coalition.
And so starting off with that group, as Bud mentioned, we were making inroads, and then the pandemic hit. And now we've got it back going again, and we're starting in phase 1, identifying the partners, starting up north and working our way south. Of course, the Missouri Department of Conservation was one of the first groups that we had talked with, and we'd actually started talking with them way before pandemic when we were doing our butterfly park. Nate Mecklin is our local conservation agent for Caldwell County, and he's been instrumental in planting pollinator plots throughout his territory, and he has been a big help with us. Our next step was to bring in people from University of Missouri Extension, and now we've got extension people involved from Harrison County, Davies County, Caldwell County, and Ray County, and are working south. We've had conversations with the Department of Economic Development, and Sherry Shenneworth and Scott Sharp are the 2 coordinators for Department of Economic Development for Northern Missouri, mostly I-70 north, the whole part of the state. We've had conversations with the Division of Tourism, and they realize the tourism potential on this, so they've been very supportive. We've talked with the Nature Conservancy. They operate the Dunn Ranch up in Harrison County, and that would be one of our key partners. The Bee and Butterfly Habitat Fund is wanting to get involved, as is the Monarch Foundation. We've had some conversations. Allstate Engineering, there's a project here in Caldwell County called Little Otter Creek, and they're going to have a huge pollinator area. And then Allstate has also been involved with the development of Powell Garden and several other communities up and down 13. So they are getting involved in the whole process.
Part of what we were working with was on Highway 13, we were looking at 13 miles on either side of Highway 13 as being our corridor. That was just kind of what we were doing, since it was Highway 13, utilizing that 13 on east and west. We know that Powell Gardens and some of Highway, the interstate, maybe a little bit more or less than 13 miles, but that was kind of the target area that we were looking for, anything that bordered Highway 13. And as Bob mentioned, Little Otter Creek is one of the things that we were doing. Little Otter Creek is a lake that we are building here in Caldwell County. So as a presiding commissioner, that was part of our project as far as the county goes. It's a 350-acre lake that we are building. It will border Highway 36 on the north, and will run from there about 3 miles south. We're expecting tourism to be a major part of that, for fishing and camping, different things. but that would be not only a flyway for butterflies, but also a flyway for geese and other things as well. But that's just kind of what we're talking about. Little Otter Creek will be a major tourism attraction here in Caldwell County for the lake itself when it's developed. And we're about halfway through now. Right now, we expect the dam to be finished the first part of next year and then start filling with water. So we're hoping that we have some pollinator crops planted around that already, and they are growing very well. But one thing Bob hadn't mentioned, that sometimes you get discouraged whenever you're planting pollinator crops. The first 2 or 3 years, those pollinator crops may just look like weeds. And the pollinators, a lot of times they are a deep rooted plant. So it takes 2 or 3 years for those roots to get established. And you have to do some weed control, some other things with it. But once they get established, they're a very hardy plant. But sometimes you get discouraged as a community that first year or two, looking out there and say, do I have anything? And it just looks like all weeds. So be careful not to cut it too soon and give up on the project. Bob?
A funny little side story with that. Back when we were getting things started, I believe it was in Lexington, Missouri, their garden club took a vacant block in the city and planted a whole city block to be a pollinator garden. And as Bud mentioned, the first year with your pollinator garden, you're going to get a sprinkling of flowers. The second year, it's going to look like a weed patch. And then the third year is when you're actually going to start seeing a lot of the blooms. Mm-hmm. But in Lexington, they planted things and they had a pretty good crop going. But the city neglected to tell their street department what it was. So they went in and mowed the whole city block and sprayed it and killed everything that they'd already planted. So they had to go back to square one and start it over. But then again, the pandemic hit, and they're talking now about getting going again.
And if you're a farmer, like I have been all my whole life, and a lot of the guys in your area, you see milkweeds out there and you think, that's a weed we need to kill. That was the way I was raised in soybeans and raising crops. You didn't want milkweeds to go to seed and have that down blow everywhere, and then milkweeds come up everywhere the next year. But milkweed is one of the main plants that butterflies have to have in order to lay their eggs, to hatch their larvae, and that's one of the main plants that they need. So milkweeds is one of the staples that we often see in these butterfly pollinator plots.
A couple of the other partners that we've talked with, that we did have some conversations way back when with the botanical gardens in Springfield, and we've since initiated a conversation with them. Also, the Butterfly Palace down in West Branson is very interested in becoming part of everything. USDA is back on board, even though most of the USDA agents are still working remotely. But farmers can put some of their acreage into pollinator plots, and it is eligible to receive the CRP payments, the Conservation Reserve Program. And there's, just as a side note, there's some neat studies going on that farmers that can plant low yield acres and pollinators are seeing increased yields in the plots next to them. So as that research becomes more public, we're hoping to see more farmers taking low producing acreage and planting that into pollinators. And that's taken off quite a bit here in Caldwell County and Daviess County, that a number of farmers have done that already. So we're seeing some of those efforts those fruits coming to bear up in this area.
One of the disadvantages there, I don't want to talk disadvantage, be negative, but pollinator seed is very expensive. So, for a farmer to go out just on his own to buy enough pollinator seed to go ahead and sow 20 acres or whatever that amount might be is very expensive. And that's part of the reason why USDA is helping. They will pay a portion of the cost of the preparation of the ground, the seed, other things that it needs to get started with the CRP later on. And it's a long-term program, at least 10 years of being in pollinators, some of them up to 15 years. of guaranteed being in pollinators. But the seed is very expensive, and sometimes it's been hard to obtain. So just to be warned in advance that if you do decide to go with pollinators, you need to do some planning in advance as far as how you're going to plant the crop and where you're going to get the seed from, how you're going to control weeds first year, just as a knowledge to know going forward.
Initially, here in Hamilton with our butterfly garden, the Department of Conservation provided the seed. And then our local MFA office or company provided the chemical to do the spraying, to do the initial killing, and then they came in and did the seeding with the pollinator seeds. We've been fortunate that right now we have received a grant from the TC, the pipeline company, with their foundation, TC Energy. And we do have a little money that we can help people or help communities get started with the planting pollinators. We are working with a couple of different seed providers, including the Bee and Butterfly Habitat Fund and also the Monarch Foundation, to bring in milkweed. And then we have a company up in Davies County north of us called Lick Skillet Seed. And they've been developing butterfly seed mixtures. And they have several test plots going in Davies County of 5 to 15 acres that are part of this whole project. And we are working with them to try to develop, well, basically a gift package that we can give to communities and groups that want to get involved in this, that we can be able to provide some of the initial seed. But as Bud mentioned, the pollinator seed is expensive, and that's been a detriment for a lot of groups, and we're hoping to overcome that. One of the partnerships that just got added yesterday is that one of the other people that's helping us with the project, a gentleman by the name of John Dice, he lives up here in Kingston, Missouri. He also works for USDA, and he has reached out to the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian has some new pollinator education projects that they're going to make available to us and to communities. We haven't got all of the details worked out yet, but when that happens, I think we will be able to have some education programs in the schools and communities that will talk about how to go about establishing the pollinator plants and everything else. So we're kind of excited about that. Another one of our outreaches is to all of the FFA clubs and all of the high schools up and down Highway 13. And we would like to get the schools involved in this project and start working with the schools and the young people to develop pollinator gardens. I believe it's Richmond, Missouri. Their FFA school group has a wayside area north of the community on Highway 13 that they're going to start planting in pollinators and make it kind of an education center that people could stop and pull over. It's already a rest area, so they'll put up signage that people can read about pollinators and butterflies. And we'd like to develop a whole series of those up and down Highway 13. We had some initial conversations with Powell Garden, and we have reached out to them, and they have expressed an interest in getting back in. They're right in the middle of their big butterfly festival, which is a month-long celebration of butterflies. So once that is over, we think they will be coming back and getting on board again. And so, like I say, we're just right into phase one, and that's identifying partners. And I had some conversations with some of the board members from Missouri Community Development about getting community development cities involved in the project. And as Bud mentioned, our initial focus was Highway 13 and going 13 miles either side of Highway 13. But I think, those are very flexible. We'd love to include the whole state in this if possible. So any community that wants to get involved, we will try to help get started. as we start transitioning into phase 2, what we want to do is start enrolling communities, the county commissioners, and school districts to become involved to start planting the pollinator plots and the little monarch stations, way stations, all up and down Highway 13 or all over the western part of the state. We're working with a couple seed companies, including Lick Skillet of Gallatin, to try to see if we can get reduced discounts on seed or if they will even provide free seed for that. What we would love to do is be able to, if say some community calls and say we want to be part of this, then we can come in and give them a starter kit that it will provide them with seed, with the instructions, with the resources to make that happen. We would like to get business owners that have businesses up and down the corridor to start planting their outside areas with pollinator plants and have the monarch way stations. We want to set up some educational programs so we can go into communities and do workshops and things like that to teach people how to plant the pollinator beds, how to care for them, and how to keep revitalizing them every few years. Like I said, working with CRP program to get more and more farmers involved. And Bud,
Some people on our listening may not understand what you mean by a monarch way station.
The Monarch Foundation is creating a whole, or working on, and have done a lot of stations to create. People will plant little areas in their backyards or in their fields alongside the highways, in community parks that are essentially rest areas for monarch butterflies as they migrate north and south. And they have the milkweeds as the primary plant, but also they will have flowers and just other assortments. And the whole idea is that there will be a whole series of the monarch stations all the way from Minnesota to Mexico and even down reaching into Central America. That is basically will provide rest areas and food sources for monarch butterflies. And the Highway 13 Butterfly Trail wants to build on that and make the pollinator beds available for the other 20 plus species of butterflies that migrate through western Missouri. And one of our next steps will be working with MoDOT to get an official designation for Highway 13 to be the Highway 13 Butterfly Trail. And I should go back and mention that in working with the Department of Conservation when we first started with this, Sarah Parker, then the director, was very interested in the idea and helped us provide a lot of initial resources to get started up in this area. So we will be reaching out to the other areas with Department of Conservation, especially those of you that are listening today, to bring your areas of the state into the project. Division of Tourism is really interested with the potential of all of this. And then as we get into phase 3 of the project, the Missouri Arts Council is very, very interested in what we want to do with the whole project. And just in summary, phase 3 is going to be kind of what we would call enhancements to the whole project. A lot of you have heard about the barn quilt trails that are scattered throughout the state, in particular down around Boonesville with the Boonslick Trail. And what that is that there will be 4 by 4 foot or 8 by 8 foot quilts painted on either metal or plywood and are fastened to barns all up and down. And they provide a pretty scenic opportunity and tourism opportunity. And we want to start doing that with butterflies. And we're having some conversations with Lowe's and Menards and Home Depot if they would provide the plywood and materials and also the paint to make that happen. And then we would be talking with the school districts about having their art classes paint the signs and get those up and going. One of the other things we're doing is we will be talking to communities that have buildings in their downtown areas or along Highway 13 that would be good to paint murals on. We've talked with a couple of muralists and also with the Smithsonian with some of their capabilities of projecting onto buildings to draw butterfly murals. And we would like to have murals going all up and down Highway 13. Also looking at having statues of butterflies and different types of statuary that will just be an enhancement for the trails. And I mentioned like with the FFA roadside spot in Richmond, doing those all up and down the state where people can pull over and watch the butterflies in the pollinator areas, and then also have some educational information there that they can stop and read and look at. And then the final phase 4 is we would somewhere along the route would like to build a butterfly trail center. That would be kind of our warehouse to distribute the seeds, to distribute the education materials, to have all of our educational resources stored in one place where they can go out and go into other areas. We'd like to have kind of a mobile laboratory that can go into communities and help get communities started and help people get started in the pollinator areas. So like I say, right now we're in our infancy in phase 1. And as we move down through all 4 phases, it's going to be a multi-year project. And it's one where each community or each county can decide for themselves how much they want to be involved. Division of Tourism and the Department of Economic Development project that the cities and counties that really want to get involved with this could be a huge economic engine to drive tourism through Western Missouri. So there's that whole aspect of it as a selling point, and that if you want to attract tourists and bring visitors in and promote your businesses, build your local sales tax revenues, this may be a good vehicle to do that. And so, like I say, each county and each community will pretty much on their own, and we want to work with everyone to be able to provide the resources to help them get started, to help them continue to grow, and then to just build a whole big education network as to the benefits of planting pollinators and the importance of the whole thing.
We've seen the comment on there just a minute ago from the gal from Springfield. We appreciate, what Springfield does have already with the butterflies and how they've been promoting and murals and different things as you drive through Springfield and as you go farther south as well. I know we were in Branson earlier this spring, went to the Butterfly Palace, and kids really enjoyed it. And it was a good way of promoting, the butterflies here in Missouri as well. So it's like Bob said, it's not something that we're going to jump into all at once, and don't expect everybody else to. But we would like to have other people participate, that it can be more of a statewide type program that we're working with, and one that we can see grow tourism and also just interest in butterflies and increasing the number of monarchs as well as other butterflies that we have in the area. Something that we are very excited about.
And like I said, we're focusing in our own backyard first, but at the same time, we're reaching out all the way down to Arkansas to try to get more communities and groups involved. Here in Caldwell County and in Daviess County, we do have quite a few of our farmers are planting the pollinator plots. I think between the 2 counties, we're creeping close to 2,500 acres that has been planted. Dunn Ranch up in Harrison County, if you're not familiar with Dunn Ranch, they're operated by the Nature Conservancy. It's around a 2,500 acre ranch that is natural prairie. And natural prairie does have a lot of pollinator plants in it. They have a large bison herd. They're a big refuge for and reintroducing prairie chickens back into Missouri. And they are going to be a huge partner for us up at the top of the state. And as we move down, we'll have our Little Otter Creek here in Caldwell County. We hope to add Powell Garden. yeah, in the middle part of the state, and then
Springfield.
in working south with Springfield, and then the Butterfly Palace in Branson, that we will have key stops all the way up and down the state that kind of serve as destination points for people to go through, and then just look at make it a whole flower corridor from north to south. And I guess in a nutshell, that's about it.
Yes,
Bud.
I think that's very good.
And what we would like to do is like to invite Missouri Community Betterment and all of the Missouri Community Betterment communities to become a part of this. And then as we get further down into phase 2, that you help us recruit people in your communities, and just encourage people to plant the pollinator plots. And like I say, if as we get a little further into this and have the starter kits available, we can distribute them through Missouri Community Betterment or through Conservation Department or any group that wants to get involved in this.
And it doesn't have to be a big field. You can just have a flower garden, or you can have a little part of your garden itself that you may want to plant some pollinators in. And you know, you and the grandkids or whatever may just enjoy going out and seeing the little black and yellow tiger butterfly caterpillars. You know, it's fun just to watch or see the chrysalis as they form on the leaves. And you know, just a good time for education for your own kids or grandkids. You know, very educational and just fun to do on your own on a little garden. That'll work as well.
You know, here in Hamilton, you know, Bud is one of our leading examples. He has a piece of property and he has about a 15-foot by 15-foot sampled pollinator plot going. I have a small one in my backyard. Our little RV park has designated an area as a pollinator plant. Our school district has a little outdoor biology lab that they've planted pollinators in.
Cameron has a pretty good area over there.
Yeah, our golf course in one of their areas, they've planted, I believe it's around 4 acres in a pollinator plot. Cameron's golf course and also at the prisons in Cameron have planted pollinator areas. So you can do this just about anywhere that you have a vacant piece of property.
And it's not just butterflies. We're targeting for monarch butterflies and other butterflies. I'm a beekeeper myself, and I have been for about 25, 30 years. And so this will also aid, I think, with the honeybee population that we have as well. If they have a good food supply, if we can have some bees as well in some of these same areas, you know, that's part of our goal as well. It's all types of pollinators, because over 85% of our food that we produce has to be cross-pollinated. And bees are a big part of that, but butterflies and other types of pollinator insects also are very essential for our food production.
And one of our early partners is the Bee and Butterfly Habitat Fund, which is piggybacks right on what Bud said, is they want to include bees in this whole pollinator process. And some of you may know Elsa Gallagher with the Bee and Butterfly Fund. She, for lack of a better word, buzzes across the whole state encouraging people to plant bee and butterfly habitat. Great person to work with, and she will be a tremendous resource with this whole project and helping communities get started. And she, talking with her last week, is 100% committed to making this all happen. So, like I say, we're very, very early on in this process. It sounds like we may not be totally organized, and we're not, but we do have a plan, and we're just starting to make things happen. And we invite all of you, both as an organization and as individuals and as representatives of your communities, to get involved and make this happen. And like I say, the primary benefit is for the butterflies and other pollinators, that they have a corridor that they can travel up and down the entire state of Missouri, where they can rest, where they can reproduce, where they have food sources. The secondary thing is that this has the potential to be a tremendous tourism spot. I mentioned earlier the butterfly State Park at Bellevue, Iowa. You can Google them and see what they've done as far as developing their butterfly park, but they literally get thousands of visitors every summer of people coming in. It's been a big economic boost for the town of Bellevue and also for that part of East Central Iowa. And we hope to replicate their efforts with a lot of things here. So I guess we could just throw it out for questions, and I volunteer at the Quilt Museum here in Hamilton, and I always tell people if they have any questions to just ask, and if I don't know the answer, I'll make something up.
Yeah, that's the next step. If you guys have any questions, I know that I saw one in the chat from Jennifer saying, can we get info about how to put together the pollinator plots, like just from the ground up basics information? Would that be something we get from Mo Conservation, or what do you suggest?
One of the things that we are just starting on is putting together an information packet, and that will have the brochures on how to select a site, how to prepare a site, what type of seed you need, how to care for the site, and that'll be pretty much all written material. And when we have those put together, we will be handing those out all up and down the state and to any group or organization that asks. So that is part of our phase 2, and it's a good question. And thank you for asking, because we want to make that happen.
And we may partner with University Extension as well. I used to be a extension agent, an agronomist, horticulturalist with the University of Missouri as well. And so if we can work together with the university to get some of this, get our extension councils excited about it, our farm bureau boards, different people too, different organizations that consume a lot of our community leaders, community people along the area, include them as well. But if we can participate with other organizations like University Extension to put some of these things together, where they already have the network together, they already have the state specialists, local specialists that can help promote it as well.
There are a number of organizations and groups that have information already available, like the Bee and Butterfly Fund, the Department of Conservation, University Extension, some of the seed companies. What we want to do is we'll bring all of the information together in one location, and then we'll dispense out packages that have everything in it, rather than saying some community has to contact 10 different organizations to get 10 different pieces of information. We'll become a single source for that, and everything will go out together. We want to facilitate this and make it as easy as possible for communities and organizations to get involved.
That would be nice.
Awesome. Okay, I see Vanita has a question.
I just would like to comment about, we're individuals working with the butterfly garden in the Botanical Center in Springfield, and we've gotten very involved with that. But the Missouri Prairie Foundation also has a lot of information available. In fact, that's where we got the information for this Zoom, this program here. And they have a lot. They have all kinds of information out there. They have the Grow Native program. They have, as I see Rhonda just put up, they tell you what to do, how to do it. So I think that if you can get the Missouri Prairie Foundation and Grow Native as part of that, as part of this, I think that would be a really good resource to be involved. We rely on them heavily for stuff, for information and things.
Are there other pointers that, since you already have some experience there working with other groups, are there others that may also be very beneficial to you? And where is the Prairie Foundation located from? Is it here in Missouri or Kansas? Do you know where it is located?
It's located here in Springfield, not Springfield, it's in Missouri. It's the Missouri Prairie Foundation, MPF. And I see that Rhonda put up the Grow Native website, but it's part of the Missouri Prairie. I think it's based out of Columbia, Missouri.
Okay.
And I know that a lot of people are really involved with that, not just the prairie itself, but what lives in it and all of those kind of things. So it is a Missouri thing. And then there's also another good resource that I'm going to throw his name out there. He may not he may not thank me, but we have the Missouri Botanical Center, or I'm sorry, the Springfield Botanical Center here in Springfield has a butterfly house, and it's Missouri
Right.
native butterflies. Dr.
Mhm.
Chris Barnhart is the leading expert that, and he and his wife are the curators of that. And so we've learned tons, and they're very involved with both the Missouri Prairie Foundation. In fact, Chris is giving a talk at the annual meeting next month. But Chris would be an excellent resource. And then also we were thinking too, things like the Missouri Naturalist. Practically everybody has a naturalist program, or the Missouri or the Master Gardeners. Of course, that would be through the Missouri Extension. So I think we see some local enthusiasm already because we've got that. And I think if you, like you guys are trying to do, publicize it, bring it all together and organize it, I think that would be awesome. But I think, and we are willing to help. Just let us know what you want us to do and we'll be glad to help. But I think this is really cool. And
Thank you. We have had an initial contact with the Missouri Gardeners Association, or Master
Okay.
Gardeners
Yeah.
Program.
Right.
And way back when, we did talk with the Botanical Garden in Springfield, and Lisa, and I can't remember her last name, and is no longer with them, but we've had some recent conversations in the last week or 10 days to get things going again with the Botanical Garden and also the Butterfly Palace down in Branson. Other groups that we have talked with are the Quails Forever, Pheasants Forever, and the Missouri Wild Turkey Federation, because their plots are very similar to what we would want, as creating habitat. So there's a lot of other resources we can bring into this, and any suggestions that any of you have would be greatly appreciated. Let me give you my email address. We're just in the process now of getting a website and a Facebook page created. But my personal email is hugges9153@AOL.com. I'm still one of the old-fashioned pioneers and have an AOL address for my email. But any information that you could provide, sources of organizations that we could contact, please let us know. And like I say, we hope to have a Facebook page up in the next couple of weeks along with the preliminary website. And one of the things on the website is going to be an interactive map that as you get a plot established, you can pinpoint it on the map, and we will have the whole state line trail mapped out of where our pollinator plots are. I don't think many butterflies will look at the website to see where they can go to rest next, but it will show a lot of people where these plots are, and also serve as a way to get more and more communities and people in the communities involved in the project. More questions? More suggestions?
If somebody wants to
In
make
the
a
next 2
donation,
weeks or months, we will be reaching out to more and more people and more communities. So I
Bob?
will
Sorry.
let MCB know when we have our Facebook page and website up. And this is an ongoing process, and we keep adding people every day to it. Like I say, John, one of our other partners in this, just had the contacts yesterday, in fact, with the Smithsonian Institute, and they're going to start providing education resources. So just a lot of things happening in your communities. If you can identify a building that would like to have a mural on the side of it that depicts butterflies, let us know as you're driving up and down through your counties and communities. If you see some barns or buildings, it would be a good place to hang a barn butterfly. Make a note of that. And this is going to be a project. It's going to be it'll be an ongoing project. It'll take 3 or 4 years to get off of the ground, but once that goes after that, as the Missouri Department of Natural Resources like to say, it'll be an in perpetuity thing. So we're looking forward to it, and we invite you all to participate, and looking forward to meet more of you in person. So, Bud, do you have any comments?
No, I appreciate everybody's and their interest. One of the things that may also fit in, I'm very active as far as working with our farmers market as well, and we have some crafts as well. One of the things that I have seen at some of the farmers markets are actual butterfly cutouts, 3 different sizes: a large one like 2 foot, a smaller one a foot, and then a smaller one maybe 6 inches. Kind of put them on a post out in your front yard. Paint with either a monarch or a swallowtail or different things. Just a craft. You kind of have to know a little bit about painting, but you can also get just a something that you can use as an example, or perhaps 4-H or FFA would be involved in that. But that might be an opportunity for some woodworkers or woodworker shops. There are diagrams on the internet that you can get as far as how to craft a pollinator or a different types of butterflies, and that might be an opportunity as well. Put a big butterfly out in your yard.
I just kind of mentioned in passing one of the groups that we've had some early conversations with was the Missouri Arts Council. And one of their thoughts is if we could create a program in the schools that the school art classes could paint butterflies and paint the butterfly barns or the barn butterflies, and maybe some signage, different things like that, as Bud mentioned, butterfly cutouts, things like that. We do have a group here in Caldwell County, the Caldwell County Arts Association, and they have gotten several grants from the Missouri Arts Council. And one of the things in the grant that they just applied for is to provide materials to our local high school art classes to be able to paint butterflies. So if you have an arts council or an arts group in your communities or counties, this would be another group to draw in and get involved, because they can provide a secondary resource to this whole project.
One other question that came through on the chat was, where could folks send financial contributions or donations to help support this project?
Right now, contributions could be sent to the Highway 13 Butterfly Trail, P.O. Box 352, Hamilton, Missouri 64644.
That is a 501c3 organization that we're working with.
Yeah. Yeah, the Highway 13 Butterfly Trail is registered with the state of Missouri as a nonprofit organization, and we operate under the umbrella of the Caldwell County Foundation, which is a 501c3. And as we get a little farther down the road, we'll be applying for our own 501c3 designation. But as it stands now, any donations to the Butterfly Trail are tax exempt. And we are seeking additional grants, different funding sources. So if anyone has any ideas or suggestions, let us know. As I mentioned with the TC Foundation, we did get an initial $12,500 grant to get things started. So it's kind of nice to have that first foundation money, because it adds a little bit of legitimacy to the whole thing. And we're having fun, and we invite you to join us.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If we don't have any other questions, we can wrap up for today. We're getting close to our hour and I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If you do think of any other last minute questions, though, pop them in the chat. Beyond that, just thank you so much to our guests today for being willing to speak on this. It sounds like such a fun project and a chance for people to get involved to varying degrees across the state.
Well, thank you for inviting us to speak. We love getting the word out on everything, and we'll be happy to talk with you individually or as a group or however we can make this happen. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will be
Also-
signing out.
All right, thanks. Also, for anyone else attending, this is how you can stay in touch with Missouri Community Betterment. Our website, contact us, phone. Also, I mentioned before, YouTube, we record all of our lunch and learns and put them on there. So if there's anything you didn't catch or wanted to circle back on, that's a good place to look. We have lunch and learns every month. The next one will be August 21st. And then we've also got the MCB Better Together Fund, if anyone is interested in helping to contribute to support things like this, and ways to connect our communities across the state. Here's a little QR code for that, if that's any easier for anybody to scan for more information about that fund. And then also our annual conference, it's coming up. October seems like a long way away, but it's not. And so October 21st will be our annual conference. That'll be at the big Missouri Farm Bureau building in Jefferson City. Registration is from now until October 14th. You can email Darla at darlamcb8@gmail.com for more information. Tickets are $60 for adult and $30 for youth, and we'll have some great speakers and a resource fair and our community awards there. So we'd love to have you join us. And that's all I've got. I hope you guys have a great rest of your afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
You.